get ready for the main event here at the Tulsa Speedway. You can see that Steve Kinser is already on board as his cousin Carl has completed in record time an engine change in less than 20 minutes. Now, the question is, how do these sprint car crews work so quickly? Part of it is their mobile workshops. Earlier, Steve had a look.
In the past, we've shown you some pretty exotic race car transporters. Well, when you race 100 times a year like Steve Kinser in the World of Outlaws does, exotic is not what you're looking for. Function is what you want. And in this rough and tumble sport, you always need a spare chassis. See it up there on top of the trailer. Let's take a look inside and see just what kind of equipment it takes to keep this team on the road just about all year long. First, and maybe most important, are all the little suspension bits. They're the first things to get bent up. They're attached to the wall. Each is lettered as to its function so that the crew in a matter of seconds can grab the proper piece. Now, next on that vulnerability list would have to be front axles. And here are two complete units with hubs and knockoffs. Now, it's expensive to carry a spare rear axle, but if you're going to be world champion again, you better have one. Kinser just approaching now. Here you can see the quick change, the disc brake, the hubs. This is ready to bolt right in. Also, here is a complete power steering unit for the automobile. Now, front wings, they've got a couple of spare ones attached up here on top. The tires you see here are really only for putting the car in the trailer. Goodyear brings the racing tires to each track as they need them. They don't have to carry fuel either. That's available at the racetrack, and that's a good safety feature. Now, back behind those two aluminum panels are two complete spare engines, and on the top rack, they're kind of the junk pile, but you can find a spare fuel injector or a filter or Steve's helmet, driving suit, whatever they need, they can just throw it up in there. All in all, a pretty complete unit. Now, as they use these parts up, they've got to be refilled, right? Well, about every 5 or 6 weeks, a trailer shows up from their shop in Indiana, and a crew person brings parts necessary to refill all of this and keep them out there on the highway making a living.
Well, veteran sprint car fans are going to recognize this. This is the famous World of Outlaws trademark 4x4 starting lineup that opens up every feature race. As the fans are on their feet, waving their heroes around this 3/8 mile speedway, Steve Evans, we're going to have a start after everybody forms up in the customary 2x2.
Well, I'll tell you, these fans are not cold now, Brock, because they know what's to come. The feature event, and this will be mechanized warfare. And you can bet Steve Kinser right now is taking a close look at the oil pressure gauge, the water temperature, to make sure that that new motor is going to be up to the task. Jack Houdenschell, he is on the pole in the 18 car. Only his second weekend in that machine, and he is really performing. Kinser is on the inside in the second row. Tim G inside the third row, along with Greg Woolley. Bobby Davis Jr. and Jeff Swindell have performed wonderfully this weekend. The Californian Jimmy Sills and Doug Wolfgang back in row number 5.
Danny Smith, Bobby Stanley, Chris Eash from Maryland, and Andy Hillerberg from Broken Arrow right here in Oklahoma. We've got there's Sammy Swindell way back in row 9 in that black number 1. Bobby Allen, of course, a veteran in 1A. Joe Garrity and Jack Hewitt, they made it through the B Consolation. So here we go. We've got 30 laps around this very tight, very difficult Tulsa Speedway, which has now turned out to be a two-group racetrack. We've got a green. We're underway. Oh, all of a sudden, no. Chris Eash dumped upside down at the very start. Coming off turn number 4, Eash is tumbled, just tipped upside down in a tangle that is pretty customary. Let's see if he's all right. Yes, Eash appears to be moving around. Woodbine, Maryland's Chris Eash takes a nasty spill, Steve Evans.
Well, I'll say he did, Brock. This race never really got underway, and there he is. You're right. He is just fine. These well-built cars, coupled with those wings that take up some of that shock. Let's have a look in slow motion. Maybe we can determine what happened. The yellow car back there in the middle of the pack, the number 17 car. That is Chris Eash. He rides right up on the back of the 57 car. That is Danny Smith. And apparently, just in his enthusiasm to try to pick up some places in this very first lap, Chris Eash finds himself with a badly bent-up race car. Anytime you've got an open-wheel race car, it's totally different than, let's say, a stock car where you've got the sheet metal. You can bounce off of one another. You can't do that with these cars. You'll see right here, the yellow car rides up on the back of Danny Smith, and as soon as the tires get together, that causes all kinds of problems, including a very nasty, twisting flip. This type of spectacular incident, not at all unusual among the Outlaws. Brock is with Chris.
First of all, you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What happened exactly?
Well, a couple cars got bottled up, and I just got up over somebody's wheel and just dumped it.
classic sprint car crash, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we're glad, most important, that everybody's all right. We're sorry you're out, though.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the thing most wounded here will be the racing budget of Chris Eash. Not only is he not going to make much prize money, he's going to have to write some checks to repair that number 17 car as the wrecking crew hooks it up to drag it to the pits. Stay with us.